Hey, everybody. Thanks so much for tuning in. I cannot believe that it's already the end of the 22-23 NHL season. Personally, I still think it went by pretty fast. I got to say that opening night, although it was a long time ago in October, I was there at the Bell Center, as some of you guys know. And despite the losing season, despite that, to me, it still went by relatively quickly. And I'm going to talk to you guys just about a few things today in regards to where the Montreal Canadiens are at, where they're going, what we heard from Kent Hughes and Jeff Gorton yesterday, some of the player exit interviews with the media specifically, and just basically where things are at in terms of the rebuild. So let's just get right into it today. Going to be a one taker. I got some things I want to talk to you guys about. Let's get right into it. And frankly, to me, this all starts with Jeff Molson, actually, because last year he made such a major change to the Montreal Canadiens franchise in terms of the direction it was going to go. And to me, I'm thankful for Jeff in the fact that he cares so much, but also that he had a vision along with Jeff Gorton and Kent Hughes here. And now they are executing it. But what I appreciate, though, is that Jeff Molson took the Montreal Canadiens and realized that they're the freaking Montreal Canadiens. Like, I don't know how else to put it other than he is trying to, of course, turn the direction of this franchise, and he's already done so. And I appreciate that. I appreciate the fact that we are where we are in this season that had a lot of ups and downs. The Canadiens finished 28th overall versus 32nd last year, but there's patience. But the expectations are going to, increase a little bit. But I really like how Kent Hughes and Jeff Gorton addressed that in their media availability yesterday, because I think Ken Hughes kind of hit the nail on the head. The Montreal Canadiens fans, all of us, are pretty educated. You guys are more educated than me. I do this YouTube channel talking about the Habs, but you guys educate me even more than I can even educate myself, it seems sometimes, just by realizing how deep and how just the depth of the fan base and the knowledge of the fan base brings us to where we are. So I do appreciate you guys too. And like I said, I'm going to be a little bit everywhere here, but I will get to the point because I do feel like Martin St. Louis is the straw that stirs the drink for the Montreal Canadiens and their ability to acquire players in free agency, not just in free agency, but to acquire players that are going to want to be here and want to play for him. I just love everything I've learned about Marty's coaching style in the last year and just everything we've seen in terms of how he deals with players, because he still talks to the players as if he's a player. I mean, how many coaches are there like that? Rod Brindamore and not that many others that are a bit further removed from the game, whereas Marty is not as far removed from the game. Less than 10 years ago, he was in the league, 7-8 years ago. So with Marty, with the way he has dealt with every single player on the Montreal Canadiens, from the rookies especially, because like Kent Hughes and Jeff Gordon mentioned, we got a lot of young players on this hockey team. The way that Marty's been able to deal with them. And I think that the Montreal Canadiens are becoming a more attractive franchise for players to come to, based on the fact that, at least right now, for the coach that they're going to play for. But it's not just them. It's not just Marty. It's not just the coaching staff. It all starts from the top, from Jeff Molson and Jeff Gorton and Kent Hughes, down to Marty and to the rest of the player development staff, the scouting staff, the skills staff. It's everybody now. It genuinely feels like the first time in a long time where there's transparency also in a better way than the Bergevin era, but also just a better sense of where things are at. I think we still have some patience personally, but I just feel like everybody's on the same page. And that's what we got last year. That's the sense that we got with the hiring of all these folks that I keep mentioning. And let's go through some things that I wanted to talk about. And basically where it is also is that the game plan remains the same for the Montreal Canadiens. There's not going to be a quick fix through a trade or through free agency that's going to speed up the rebuild. If it happens naturally, great. But Jeff Gorton mentioned that he wants the young players to develop organically and continue to build towards the kind of team that they want to build, a fast, skilled, offensive, exciting team for fans to watch. And that's going to happen by letting it happen organically, by letting these players develop the right way. A lot of emphasis was talked about with injuries, right? So a really good quote from Kent Hughes regarding the injuries and how the Canadiens are going to handle them going forward. This is a really good quote. If we don't find a way to improve what's going on from a medical standpoint, we'll never build a winner here. It's definitely front of line for us, aka a top priority. So addressing the Brendan Gallagher injury where he broke his ankle twice, the Sean Monahan injury specifically. I could talk about briefly that Monahan does sound like he wants to return to the Montreal Canadiens. I'm not going to talk a ton about the players today because this could just be a really long episode, and I'm probably going to work in other videos where we talk about which players are going to be here next year and which ones may not, and then, get into the draft, the lottery, and free agency and all that kind of stuff. But I think it's really important that Kent Hughes did address the injury situation. 12 guys at least, including Mike Matheson on the last game of the season, being added to the injured list where they couldn't play another game through, for the rest of the season, even if it was just a period or two for Mike Matheson. But the injury situation is being addressed and the medical staff situation is being addressed, which is very important going forward, knowing that they're hopefully going to handle injuries a lot better because we can't build a winner in Montreal, as Kent Hughes said, by not improving the medical situation and holding guys out longer, not allowing them just to play because they say they're fine. And no, it's going to improve. They're going to do a lot more, maybe x-rays and screens to make sure that guys' injuries aren't as bad as they say they are, or vice versa. Maybe they aren't bad and they can get them in there sooner. So for me as a fan, I do expect the tide to start turning for the Habs this summer, as soon as this summer. Could come in the form of a very good draft pick. We don't know who that's going to be yet. I'm not going to even speculate on that right now, but that's where it starts. It starts at the draft lottery and then the draft. So I do expect the tide to start turning for the Canadiens at the draft, specifically, also depending on where we end up in the lottery, but also if we're going to make a trade for another player, possibly. So I do think some improvements are going to be made this summer. There's going to be players coming off of contracts this summer, as we know, too. And I do think that genuinely the tide is going to start to turn even more in the right direction, which is what we expect anyway. So that's not necessarily news, but we did get that again reiterated from Jeff Gorton and Kent Hughes that they're going to stick to the process and they have a plan in place. They do see similarities in the New York Rangers franchise and the success that they've been having. And there's some parallels there. And we have a lot of young players, a lot of young talent. Kirby Dach was mentioned. What a season he had. He emerged as a guy that's not even reached his ceiling at all yet, but he's getting closer. And the fact that he's with this organization now is a great place for him to be. So that to say, the center depth, I will talk about the center depth very quickly. Nick Suzuki, Christian Dvorak, Kirby Dach, Jake Evans, question mark on Sean Monahan, question mark on some prospects that are going to be coming up to play with the Canadiens next year too. But there's still too many centers. So I think we still probably hang on to Suzuki, Dvorak, Dach, and Evans. And then Monahan's the question mark if he can come in at a team-friendly contract. All right, so Josh Anderson, and I'm going to get to Uri Slafkovsky next, by the way. Josh Anderson on the trade speculation. I just liked what I saw from Josh there because I told you guys that I felt Josh Anderson was worth 2 first-rounders if this year at the deadline. And no, he didn't get moved, of course, but I felt that there was still pretty good value for him. I'm just glad that he's still with the organization. I think he's still a valuable player. He's still under contract for another 3-4 seasons. I think it's 4, Josh mentioned. And there's no plan for him to go anywhere still right now. And I don't think it's a bad thing. So I'm just glad that he's still here. And I'm glad that he just, said to the media, you guys are the ones to put all the rumors and speculation. So he's under contract as far as he knows. Until he hears otherwise, he's a Montreal Canadian and he's here to stay. So I like that. So I like that from Josh. Uri Slafkovsky. I will be shocked this time. Honestly, I will be I will be shocked and or surprised if he doesn't play in Laval at some point next season, if not to start it. So I think that the Canadiens hopefully learned from the situation with Slafkovsky. He had his moments where, he got his goals. His first NHL goal is forever memorable against the Arizona Coyotes, who are still an NHL franchise, by the way. No, I'm just messing around. But we saw some good things from Slafkovsky. He just turned 19 years old. He's our first overall pick from last year. I trust in the Canadiens to correct any potential development flaws that may have occurred in Slav this season. I think you know what I mean. What I'm saying is I think that they're going to try to correct the situation with him and make his development path a lot firmer, a lot stronger going into next season. And if that means with Laval, I don't see the harm, especially at this point when he got injured and has been out since about January. So why not put him in Laval now? Now I think there's no question. So if you guys want to argue about Laval right now here in April, like you can, but I don't see how and why Uri Slafkovsky doesn't get some development time with the Laval Rocket. They made the playoffs again. There's good vibes around the Laval Rocket as well, and they have some talent returned over there. I don't think they're going to be hanging on to Raphael Harvey-Pinard after the great season he just had too, but there are talented players that can continue to push Laval. And I think Slav could be one of them next year. I'm not saying the whole season. That's not going to happen, but he's got to get some time in Laval. That's it. That's my decision. I don't want to. Once we get to training camp, and if he just takes off like a rocket and scores 10 goals in the preseason, all right, fine. But I don't see that happening. So, also, I just want to say thank you to each and every one of you, because in talking into this microphone, looking at this camera, there's a lot of Montreal Canadiens podcasters, YouTubers, content creators that do this thing. And some of you guys have sincerely, faithfully showed up to watch me the last couple seasons. And I just got to say thank you, because you don't have to do that. There's a lot of good competition out there. There's a lot of quality creators. Hockey Junkie has become like a good buddy of mine. He's amazing. I love him. Matt is fantastic. I appreciate you, Matt. I know you watch as well, so I just want to say thank you. And it's been a pleasure and a treat to get to know you. I just spoke with Habs TV, Habs Fan TV. I do plan to do an interview with those guys in the next week or so, maybe next week or two, depending on their schedule. So there's collaborations in the works as well. I just really want to say thank you guys. Seriously, like this is, if you've made it to the end of this video, and I know attention spans, that's the other thing. Attention spans aren't all that long nowadays. So therefore, you watch the content you want to watch. You tune out when you want to tune out. You tune in when you want to tune in, and you watch who you want to watch. So if you're still watching right now, I thank you sincerely. It means a lot. I'm just another guy. I'm just another fan. I'm not an expert. I'm not the most knowledgeable fan. You guys correct me all the time on the mistakes that I make, because I put myself out there sometimes without maybe necessarily doing as deep of research as the next person. But I'm trying to get better at that. So I feel like I have a good first impression on things a lot of times. That's why I react so quickly. But to those of you that have watched and continue to watch, guys, thank you so much. I mean it. I really, really mean it. It's a pleasure. It's a privilege to do this. So that's all I got for right now. I'm encouraged. The Montreal Canadiens are still going in the right direction, and I'm looking forward to seeing the development path continue and the plan unfold to make this team more exciting, more fun to watch. We have a great future ahead of us. I cannot wait. I mean, I can wait, but you know what I mean. I'm excited. I'm looking forward to the future for this team as a fan, along with each and every one of you. So thank you. Thank you so much for watching, guys. We'll see you very soon. All my best. You guys are the best. Thank you.